Are you ready to take control of your life and join a community of like-minded women who are on a mission to live their best lives too? Healthier, happier, and wealthier? Then get ready to find the support and motivation you need to pursue your passions and goals. Get ready to develop the courage to step out of your comfort zone and try new things. Join the My Best Life Tribe membership today and unlock a world of opportunities, empowerment, and sisterhood. Our exclusive community offers courses, collaborations, workshops, events, and so much more. Don't wait any longer to start living your best life. Visit our website, www.drstemy.com, and become a part of something truly special. My Best Life Tribe, where women thrive together. www.drstemy.com.
Are you ready to bounce back?
Welcome to the Bouncing Back podcast with DrStem, where resilience meets inspiration. Join us as we explore powerful stories of overcoming adversity, share expert insights, and discover the tools you need to bounce back in life. Whether you're facing challenges or seeking motivation, you're in the right place. Let's dive in.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Bouncing Back podcast with yours truly, DrStem. I am elated. Excitement is not even the word I can describe this moment. This month, May, is Mental Health Awareness Month. And let me tell you, this interview that we're doing today with my guest, Lisa Roche, is an interview that is happening on the right day at the right time. And what do I mean, about that? What I mean is there are certain moments in our lives that we just have to be prepared for the right people, divine connections to happen. I was so excited because last month I was a guest on Lisa Roche's podcast, which is Find Your Flow. And we laughed as if we had met, many times before in our lives. And it was our first time. And I remember saying to her, you have to grace us with your presence on our podcast, Bouncing Back. So welcome to the podcast, Lisa.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for having me. It was such a joy to have you as a guest on my podcast. To be asked to be here. Thank you. This is just as much a gift for me.
Thank you. It's a Friday that we're doing this today. So guess what? We call this a Fearless Friday. So before I start, let me just tell you a little bit about Lisa. And I'm telling you a little bit because we're going to have a candid conversation. That's what I loved about her podcast. So as a result, I wanted to give it back to her because there was nothing about having questions or anything. So we're going to have the same thing here. Lisa Roche is a podcaster, as I said, and her podcast is Find Your Flow. I was interested in learning more about how that started, so that's why I wanted her here as well. She's also the founder of Nagare Life, a Feng Shui Expert, a Reiki Master Teacher, and intuitive guide. With a little bit of cursing, she'll tell you when you get on her podcast, and a whole lot of laughter, which I'm hoping that we do as well here. We cannot wait to hear from Lisa how she helps others navigate life's twists and turns with peace and ease. Today, I want Lisa to help us navigate and offer us grounded tips, holistic guidance, spiritual conversations, and yes, I will ask her for a beautiful meditation before we even start. I have asked Linda if she can lead us into a grounding meditation to start this podcast. Thank you.
So here we are. You did ask that before we hit record, before we went live here. And I'll preface by saying that was because I was getting ready for this opportunity this morning, this appearance, and I went, oh, okay, there's DrStem. She's in my field. And she needs me.
Yes.
She needs me as more than a guest to share information. She needs what I have to share. And that really is healing. So what I did while you were speaking was open my channel, set the intention for this entire episode
Yes.
so that everyone receives this vibration of, and I'll tell you in a second, but this vibration for the entirety of this episode, not just while we're in a meditation together. So when I set the intention, I asked. I don't set the intention.
Yes.
I just ask. I ask to receive. I say, would you please allow for whatever is needed to move through me? I am a conduit. I don't really gift anything. All I do is act as a communication between you and soul. And I said, what is it that DrStem is in need of? And then the voice was very clear and said, she and her community. This is why everyone will receive, whether you're watching on a replay,
Yes.
whether it's a month from now or 2 seconds, it doesn't matter. You will all receive grounding to receive God's light.
Yes.
That makes me want to cry,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
The human in me is like, whoa, that is a beautiful, beautiful gift to move through.
Yes. Yes.
And the message for everyone to receive. So please take a nice deep breath, place your hands on your heart, be open to receiving. This is grounding to receive God's light. God's light. These are immense words, and the message is this is an amazing opportunity to share and receive God's light. I don't often start a meditation by saying, please give gratitude. Most time it starts with, please be open to receiving, but this is different. We're flipping things to see it from a different perspective, a different perception, neither right nor wrong. So please take a nice deep breath. And with your most loving intention and openness of heart, please give gratitude to whatever it is that you feel is bigger than you. Maybe it's the feeling of love. Maybe it's the concept of hope. Maybe it's grace. Maybe it's your loved ones. Maybe it's your community. Maybe it's light. Maybe it's God. Maybe it's universe. Maybe it's your soul. So this is a grounding meditation, and in gratitude, I ask of you to please feel the bottoms of your feet. Just bring your attention to the bottoms of your feet. Quietly listen for that little crackle of sound. What might sound like static. What might feel like tingles in the bottom of your feet. If it feels like heat or fire, I ask that that be dimmed. I ask that your connection to the conduit of the earth be strong, be fearless, be courageous. I ask that you stand tall in your hope for more. I give light and universal grace into your solar plexus, that little divot in your rib cage, that small hollow. I ask your stomach to allow to unravel, to unknot, to untangle, to allow for peace and ease to be expanded through your body, starting at your solar plexus, inhibited by your stomach. So we ask your stomach to open and allow. Feel that connectedness in your feet to travel up your legs and into your stomach, to allow for a connected, solid stance of grace and gratitude, of honored humility, of gifted pride. Gifted pride. It is a gift. Be proud. Be honored. I ask that your stomach be opened to expand through your ribs, to allow for a breath. Please breathe. I ask for your hands to receive the grace and blessedness of connected energy to source, to universe, to God, to soul. All one, all the same. Moving through your arms and up into your chest, clearing your throat to allow for vulnerability. May you be open to speak in peace and love and grace and ease, in hope, in light, with dignity. Open your throat to receive. Connect your throat to your ears so that you may listen more than you speak, that you may receive more than you share, that you may be blessed in times of bleaked despair. May your mind be open to seeing love in every corner. And may your connected channel to the universal grace of source of God's humble light, may it move through you. May you receive. May it tether you to this place in time with hope, in gratitude, with peace, with love. May you move from this place. May you step forward in your life. May you expand to include others. May you experience joy. May you experience sorrow. May you experience all of the wonderful human elements, the emotions of humanity. There is beauty in all. Without contrast, there is no growth. So your feet ground deeper, rooted into the very center of the earth, to loop around and center deeply within yourself so that you may expand from a place of safety, security. May you be held in grace. Please take a deep breath. Exhale. Wiggle your toes. Start to bring your attention back into our time together. Open your eyes, look around, stretch the muscles of your eyes. Bring your attention back into this time together. Listen to my voice. bring your brain back online with us. And in grace, I say thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Oh, wow. Okay, this should have been at the end because now I want to end it. Oh, oh, thank you so much. Thank you
Oh
so
my,
much.
thank you.
Oh, yeah.
And
What
by
a,
the way, the Reiki channel is not closed. So
yes,
everything we speak and share today gets encoded
yes,
with grace, with love, with peace, with healing. So
yes. Thank
even
you.
when I curse, you're going to get the vibration of joy.
And it wasn't even that much. When you started that and saying, well, I curse a little, I was like, okay, that's okay. And I didn't even hear the curse. And then I'm going, wait a minute.
Ah,
She said she curses. I didn't even hear it. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So it's interesting also that this month is Mental Health Awareness Month. So as we started with Reiki, I I am a believer of meditation and prayer. And I love the way that you mentioned that God, Allah, universe, all are one, because there are many that don't believe in, they said, no, I don't do meditation because I'm a Christian. And then some meditators say, well, I don't believe in God because I meditate. So it's interesting that you started with that.
so everything that I've ever been told, and when
Yeah.
I say that, I mean, I sit in meditation every day. Every single day of my life is I start and then quite often at some point go back into, I sit in meditation.
Yes.
For me, meditation is prayer.
Yes.
Prayer is its connectedness, a connection's like picking up the phone to speak with your God.
Yeah.
Um, for me, God, Allah, uh, uh, universe, light, source, love, it's all the same.
Yep.
It's just a bunch of words for the exact same concept.
Yes.
So rather than be divisive, which you start with vocabulary and all of these different words, which, there's a whole science behind that. The words carry frequencies and vibrations upon each syllable that can either increase or decrease the vibration of that word. But as a human, we take that increase or decrease and we start saying, oh, okay, well, then that makes one thing better than the other.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's just not the case.
No.
It's just not the case. We
Yeah.
can be very different and still yet be the same.
Yes. You're very right, and I believe in that same thing. So going back to when we started, I just want
Mm,
to, also let the audience know that in this season where we are talking about mental health, we're also in a season where mental health is affecting all of us
yes.
one
Yes.
way or the other. So I was just talking to Lisa before we started that I had totally, forgotten that it was an interview that we had. I had it on my calendar, but I couldn't remember, why I had her name on my calendar. It says Lisa podcast. I was already on her podcast. So now, she's on my calendar. I'm like, why is she on my calendar? Right? On a day where the overwhelm when I woke up and everything was just like, okay, just sleep in a little bit. It's Friday, rest because it's been a busy week. It's been really, really packed week, right? And then something says, nah, check your email. And then she says, are we still meeting today? And I thought, that's why she was in my book. So I'm saying this to say to people, pay attention, because this is also a season where we need to pay attention, and being
Yes.
still is a must, for all of us. So Lisa, with that, I want you to probably share with us your journey on where
Mm.
you started with this journey of now doing what you do, which is to help people start, living their lives with peace and ease.
For sure.
Yeah.
So I had gone through a personal journey of who am I? I mean, throughout my life, right? Many times over, we redefine. But the pivotal point was when our youngest went to school full time, and he was starting in full day school. And I found myself with a whole bunch of hours where I was like, I don't need to be a mom for, however long they're in school. And I said to my husband, I could go back to work. I could do that. I've got all these hours now. What am I going to do with my time? How am I going to fill my time? So notice I chose to be busy over, I immediately went there, right? I have to be busy instead of being still, instead of celebrating some quiet moments. Like, how did I not deserve that? Talk about mental health.
Yeah.
And it was my husband who said, you could absolutely go back to work, or you can figure out who you are now at this time in your life and take these hours to explore what makes you happy.
Yeah.
All these things that you've always wanted to do with your life before and never really had time. So I said, oh, wow, that's a challenge, right? How do you go from wife and mother to, wait a minute, I'm Lisa again? Like, who is that? What is that? So I immediately went back to childhood.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, well, I danced. I wasn't particularly good, but I loved it. So I took an adult ballet class. And in that adult ballet class, I met the most wonderful women. And let's just say, because I know that we're filming video, I love that your throat is clearing. So take a drink of water. When these things happen, we have to take a drink of water and honor that. So what you're doing is flushing energy out of your throat right now. So I'll give you Reiki specifically to your throat while we chit chat. So I took this adult ballet class, and during the time, I injured my back, which I had suffered from back pain prior to. So this was just another, you challenged yourself, so your back seizes up kind of moment. And the woman who ran the studio, she said to me, I've got this apparatus in the back that maybe if you're open to it, we could try that and we could relieve your back pain. And I said, I'll try anything. I'm barely upright, so I'll try anything. And it turned out to be a gyrotonic tower, and it looks really medieval, but it was absolutely wonderful. Within a half an hour of traction and a little bit of movement, my back pain was probably 80% gone. And I was able to walk out and drive home and feel so much better. So from that point on, I stopped Pilates, which I had been doing, kept dancing, and started the gyrotonic method. And I loved it so much. I loved it so much that fast forward a couple of years, I wound up taking a teacher training for learning how to help others with the gyrotonic method. And that too was a struggle of, do I go to New York for 2 weeks and train every day? Or do I stay home and be a wife and a parent? And my husband once again said, don't worry, I've got this. His brother moved in for the 2 weeks to help him. And you're muted, by the way. Listen, while I was in New York for 2 weeks, I also got a picture of our son with a shaved head. So it was fabulous, but I for sure couldn't mother. But I wound up being introduced to this beautiful modality that you're good now. This beautiful modality that got to work the spine and work the body in a totally different way and reach the nervous system. So I received that training. I wound up getting certified, and I opened a studio to start helping others. And then I had an accident. I had an injury to my spine. I was at breakfast with some friends, and in the middle of talking to my friends, I felt a squeeze on the back of my head, and I collapsed. I blacked out. And when I came to, I couldn't see, I couldn't hear, I couldn't walk. I had no center of balance.
Yeah.
I remember my friends dragging me out. I had driven to breakfast, so I had no idea how I was going to get home. But they're dragging me out of this restaurant, and I remembered putting my hand on the wall and feeling the wallpaper and telling myself, this is bumpy. This is the texture of bumpy. So I started experiencing immediately, I started experiencing my world with different senses. If I can't see and I can't hear, what can I do? I can feel. So that became really very sensitive. And over a 9-month period of seeing every specialist for everything possible under the sun, it turned out that the very first vertebrae, the atlas, it's tucked under the occipital ridge. That vertebrae dislocated. It went to the right and then twisted forward. And when it did that, it compressed my brainstem and the carotid artery and all of those nerve endings in my brain. Nothing was getting enough cerebral spinal fluid, enough blood flow, enough nerve impulses. So my body shut down what was being affected, everything up there in my head, all of those senses. I couldn't smell, I couldn't hear, I couldn't taste, I couldn't see. I eventually got to the point I couldn't sit up independently. I was in a wheelchair. The doctor said, prepare for care at home. This is about as good as it gets.
Yeah.
And one day I broke completely and collapsed on our living room floor, family room floor. And I begged God to take the burden that is me. And those were the specific words. Talk about mental health. Take the burden that is me. I am a burden to my family. I am a burden to this world. I am no longer of service to anyone. I'm not a good wife. I'm not a good daughter. I'm not a good sister. I'm not a good parent. I'm not a good friend. I can't show up for anything. Take the burden that is me. Sobbing, sobbing, sobbing. And I was lying there having no idea how I was going to get back up on the couch. How was anything going to get any better? And I heard a very clear voice. And it was more of a voice, it was a vibration that reverberated within my chest before it ever made it to my brain, before I ever heard anything in my ears. I heard it in my heart. And it said, you have everything you need. You have everything you need. Listen. So in that moment of surrender, in complete and utter surrender, I heard, and by heard, I mean felt, received, you need sound. Find a sound healing. I had no idea what those words were. I'd never heard of a sound healing. I was like, I mean, and I'm someone who had been meditating all the time.
Yeah.
And I was like, what the is a sound healing?
Gotcha.
What the?
Okay, I got you.
So I go on the internet. I listen, thank you, Mrs. Wolfinger in high school typing, who taught me how to type without ever needing my eyes. Sound healing. And the first thing that comes up is this music, this chant, Ramadasa. And it starts playing. And I was like, what is this? Because it was when I say the voice of God, the voice of soul, the voice of all creation, moving and pulsating through me, yep, that's exactly what it was. Turns out Ramadasa is a chant, a Tibetan chant for the nervous system. I was like, you can't make this stuff up.
Yeah.
You can't make this up.
Yeah.
I went to see a chiropractor, and she said, this is your atlas. I'm going to help you. Clicks it, puts it back into place. My eyesight starts coming back. My hearing starts coming back. I was like, you have got to be kidding me. It literally miraculous. The problem is that I couldn't hold the adjustment from day to day. The second I would lie down and go to bed, go to sleep, I would wake up completely depleted again with limited eyesight, limited hearing. So as I'm laying there and I'm listening to Ramadasa, again, that voice starts building in my chest and says, ask for help, ask for help. And I said, I mean, okay, I feel like I've done that a bazillion times and haven't gotten fully what I need, but okay, I'll ask for help. Who should I ask for help? Go to Facebook. Wait, what? Go to Facebook. Now, mind you, in my begging, right? In my begging for my life to be taken, for the burden to be taken, I was like, I'll do anything you say. Right? There's all this bargaining. I'll do anything you say. But the first challenge of go ask for help, go to Facebook, I was like, what?
Yeah.
But I mean, okay, I'll do it. I opened Facebook and the very first post on there is from a woman in a group I wasn't a member of. And it's a private group. So how did it show up on my feed? It shouldn't have.
Yeah.
Doesn't make any sense, right? Miracles don't make sense, everyone.
Yes. Yeah.
So I click on it and literally go to message her, and I am shaking, and I can barely get myself to type the words, I need help. Because that, when I was begging for my burden to be erased, I didn't think it got any lower than that.
Wow. Yeah.
Asking for help, oh, that was lower. That was harder.
Yeah.
You could scream in private as loud as you want. The second you scream in public and say, help me, I am here and I need help. The second you stake your claim, this is me. Woo, lady. But I did it. Yeah. She had said, it's Easter season and I'm looking for someone to help. Who needs help? If you need help, message me. So I messaged her.
Okay.
I need help.
Yeah.
And she said, I'm here. What can I do? And I said, I'm in PT and I need to walk every day. And the current challenge is walking outside. I have to actually leave my house and walk to my neighbor's house and back. And it's all of about 50 feet.
Yeah.
But it could take a half an hour because I'm that challenged right now. And she said, I'll be there. How is Monday? I'll be there on Monday.
To come to your house?
To come to my house.
Oh, wow.
So she shows up at my house. And I remember, there are a few things I remember from that year, but my God, I remember this. It was cold. It was winter. And she showed up at my house and she helped me with my coat on and she helped me down the front stairs and we walked. We walked to my neighbor's house and back. And sure enough, it took about 25 minutes. Yeah. And in that amount of time, she asked me, do you mind my asking what happened? And I told her, I said, listen, it's this obscure bone. It's called the atlas. No one's ever heard of it. No doctor seems to be able to help me except for this chiropractor. And I'm told that this is as good as it's going to get, which is better than me being trapped in a wheelchair and propped up with pillows, right? And being like, whatever. So she said, and this again, I remember so clearly, everything went dark and it started to snow. And all I could see were these individual snowflakes. As she said to me, like in slow motion, I know exactly what you're talking about. I had this injury, just not to this extent. I also know a specialist that you should see. Wow. So I go to see this specialist who turns out to only be about 20 minutes away from our house, of course, divine intervention always happens
Yes.
this easily.
Yes.
I called that Monday night. This beautiful angel shows up at my door. She walks in. She writes the doctor's name down. She writes the phone number. She writes his hours, and she hands me the piece of paper and says, it's like a 2-month wait list, but call and get in because it doesn't matter. I will continue to show up. I will continue to help you walk. And in that amount of time, we will have gotten you scheduled. And I said, okay. She said, just call. So I pick up the phone and I hesitate. And I say to my brother-in-law, who once again was there to help us while my husband was traveling. And I said, I don't know. I'm scared. I'm scared because I've gone to everyone for help and no one's really been able to get me much farther than this. And this is pretty good.
Yeah.
I'm not 100%, but I'm also not completely like a potato sitting on the couch.
Yeah.
And he stopped everything. He was cooking dinner. Everything stopped. And he says, Lisa, when God sends you an angel, when God tells you what to do, who are you? Who are you to say no?
Yeah.
Who are you to laugh in his face? And I looked at him and he said, okay, who are you to laugh in her face? And I said, yes, you're absolutely correct. So I call and I'm fully expecting on a Monday evening to leave a message.
Yeah.
And someone answers the phone. And I said, oh, I'm sorry. I was trying to leave a message for the doctor's office. And she said, no, this is the doctor's office. I was actually packing up. But the phone rang and I had just hung up with another patient. So I just picked it up. And I said, okay, I need to make an appointment. And she said, well, how about that? The call I just hung up with canceled their appointment for Wednesday at 2:00. Can you be here? And I said, yes.
Oh,
I have no idea
wow.
how, but yes, my answer.
Oh,
So my husband took time off from work. He takes me to the doctor's office that Wednesday at 2:00. This doctor who specializes in one minute bone, and that's it. That's all he does all day, every day. This one bone. He uses a sound wave.
that sound. Oh,
He uses a sound wave to adjust the bone and guide it back into place so that the muscles relax and don't think, shit, I got to get back.
yeah.
I got to get back. Right. So they
Yeah.
never snap back. They melt
Oh,
instead.
wow.
So he does everything. He takes all the x-rays, he measures, does all the math behind it, sets me up with this machine at a certain angle. And then all I hear is a click. There's a metal rod that's just up against the bone behind my ear. I hear a click in the machine and a sound wave guides everything back into place. Within a half an hour, I sat up. My dizziness was gone. I was stable. I could hear 100%, see 100%. Everything was clear. The brain fog was clearing. Everything was clear.
Oh, wow.
And then over the next 3 months, you could literally trace, because I would get these red lines all over my body where you could see blood flow was rushing to these nerve endings to get them back into functioning. And all of a sudden, I'd have really loud hearing in my right ear and diminished on my left. And then it would shoot back over to the left and everything would even out. Same thing with my eyes. I could feel them moving in and out, trying to be able to focus. All of these different muscular structures in my body, all the bones, everything.
Wow.
And then 3 months after, I get a knock on my door. Some woman who wants to pick up shoes sees my gyrotonic tower in my living room because that was being stored in the house. And I was using it for PT. I created my own physical therapy recovery. She says, what is that? I explain what it is. I explain what we do. And she says, that's fantastic. That sounds amazing. Can I be here on Thursday to have a half an hour with you? And how much would that cost? And I said, well, I'm not taking clients right now. And she said, that's okay. It'll only be a half an hour. How much will that cost?
Yeah.
And I said, $55. I'll see you on Thursday at 10:30 in the morning. And she said, fabulous. I'll be here. She was my very first client that got me back to work.
Oh, wow. Wow. What a
And from
journey.
her came a bunch of other referrals.
Yeah.
And within about 2 months,
Yeah.
I was fully scheduled to my capacity, what
Mhm.
felt good to me,
Yeah.
right? And I would say about 70% of all of my new clients within a year's time all had an atlas injury, all went through the same exact protocol that I went through, all healed, done, move, healed, done, move. Go
Wow.
to the doctor, get the adjustment, come in, we'll set up your movement plan, move on. Be happy in your life.
Wow.
So that is really the origin story of what comes after that. Well, I learned how the body works, how it behaves in unison with the energy of your body, with your soul, with and then Reiki becomes opened up to me. I train in Reiki. Then I started learning craniosacral therapy and sound therapy and aromatherapy and all of these different modalities that are just this beautiful buffet of what works for you.
Wow.
What works for
Wow.
you.
Yeah, you really have a great menu because I was going through your link tree with the
Mm.
services which people can find on your Facebook link, and we're going to be sharing that as we share, this show. There will be all her social media links there. Click on the link tree on Facebook and you see the different kind of services that are there. How important is it for people to navigate the different modalities of treatment? Because from what I'm hearing from you, these physical ailments definitely will lead to mental ailments if not treated. Most mental health, seems to also be very connected to physical ailments.
Yes, absolutely. And I would actually say that the emotional
Yeah.
component happens first.
Yes.
That emotion, when not processed, goes into our cellular tissue, gets stored as the energy within a cell. That cell, every 7 years, we turn over every cell in our body. It takes 7 years to do it, but we replicate the cells within our body every 7 years.
Mm.
So the question is, as we're experiencing emotional traumas, emotional impact that we don't process properly, it gets stored in those cells, and that's what gets replicated. Cells divide. It takes the energy that it has
Yeah.
and it creates new cells.
Mm-hmm.
Those new cells will be created with trauma as opposed to new cells being created in peace.
Mm.
That trauma lives within our cellular tissue,
Yes.
and that trauma travels along the nervous system.
Yeah.
The nervous system gets processed in our brains.
Mm.
So our mental health is a reflection
Yeah.
of what happens on a cellular level. That cellular level is made up of our emotional experiences. And as it makes its way to the brain, it has to travel an entire nervous system. That nervous system feeds every single muscle, bone within our body.
Yeah.
That's where the physical ailment comes from.
Mm.
Unprocessed emotional trauma
Yeah.
stuck in a section of our body creates pain in that area of the body.
Mm.
Our bodies are amazing.
Yeah.
They will wall off trauma. Oh, our bodies will wall off trauma like nobody else. I
Yeah.
mean, build that wall right around it,
Yeah.
but that's what creates pain. So it either is going to create a knot within our muscles, or it's going to create adhesions within our fascia,
Yeah.
or it's going to create and leach from our bones.
Mm.
But it will try to encapsulate emotional pain. It really will.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But once it becomes acute and we feel it, that means our brains, the signal has already made it to our brains. When you recognize pain, whether that be a thought process or an ouch in my body, you're at the end of it. That's the final straw. So when you're talking about mental anguish,
Yes.
untangle that. You don't have to go at it at the mental state. You can quite often unwind yourself through the physicality of pain. Or you can treat the emotion of it. Treat the energy of it without ever having to deal with the physicality of it. It's what is easiest for you, what is most approachable for you. If you don't think that you're going to benefit from going and sitting an hour in a therapist's office every week for however long, then that's not what works for you. But if you like to go and lay on a table and get a massage, if that's what feels therapeutic and comforting, then your body is going to say, I'm safe. It's okay to heal. It's okay to feel these emotions, and it's going to release.
Yes.
So you just need to find a massage therapist that knows what he or she is doing, that is more than just making you feel good on a table. A massage therapist is different from a masseuse. Go to a massage therapist.
Because they're providing therapy.
Yes, they know exactly what they're doing. They're releasing emotion through a massage. A craniosacral therapist, that's a whole other level of care. I actually have an entire episode dedicated to craniosacral therapy because I love it so much. Craniosacral therapy, it's physical in nature in that very, very gently, there's an alignment reestablished between the skull and the sacrum, the bones. And as you unwind the fascia that hold your bones, cerebral spinal fluid gets to flow very easily between the sacrum, your pelvis, and all the way up to your brain. So the entire spine, meaning spinal cord, gets washed. And all of that fluid goes up around your brain and washes toxins out of your brain.
Interesting. This is the first time that I'm hearing this.
It's a beautiful modality. It's a
Yes.
beautiful modality.
Yeah.
And when you flush the brain of toxins, you think more clearly. You think less negatively. You are much more solution oriented in your thought processes. So it really is like, how important are all these modalities? They're all equally as important.
That's true.
All depends on what resonates with you.
Yeah.
If you can't handle any of that, but you love the smell of nature, fabulous. Start there. You like music, start there. If all you identify with is music, I'm going to say, pick things that have very low bass.
Yes.
So a heavy bass actually scientifically is shown to kill human cells. They really do cause not just brain damage. Heavy bass doesn't cause just brain damage. It damages cells all throughout the body. Vibration does that. It just causes them to implode.
Yeah.
So I would lower the bass on your music. I would raise the treble. And then, of course, you can listen to sound healings. They're beautiful. You can go to a sound bath, which are all bowls and chimes and, all of the different instruments. But you can also just listen to classical music. Like if you've got nowhere else to start, I would suggest Mozart and Beethoven over, something more booming. Rachmaninoff, it's a little bit accelerated, but I would start with Mozart, with Beethoven, because all of those strings are on the same calibration as our nervous system in a healthy state. So it's going to very quickly get you from a depleted state into a neutral state.
Yeah, I'm one that loves the massage, the massage. So every time I walk in, there's this
Mhm.
music. So I have,
Yes.
created, my own playlist, but then I also use, the Spotify app, and in there you also get massage,
Yes.
music collections and stuff, and that's what
Yes.
I always, play as well. So it's almost like in my house. It's also a masseuse parlor in there when you walk in with the
Which is
music.
how you should be living. 100% of the time. 100% of
Just,
the time. That's how you
just
should be living.
surreal. Yeah, just surreal. So it's really good that you gave us all those different modalities, that people can really take care of their mental and physical
Yes.
health rather than, waiting even to make an appointment. You literally can also do the
Yes.
same treatments at home, on your own.
Absolutely. In
Yeah,
fact, I would say it's more important. Like if you really want to know what is the first thing that I should be doing, what's the most important thing,
yeah,
you should be creating a sanctuary space at home. It's how I got into Feng Shui. I'm a Feng Shui expert because of that. I I worked with clients for years,
yeah,
years in the studio,
yeah,
and they would walk out feeling fabulous and they would go home feeling fabulous.
yeah.
And in a couple of days, things would go back to maybe not feeling so great. And they would come back and they would say, Lisa, what is it that I can do differently? Well, tell me about your home. Tell me
Mm,
about your home because you leave here in a blissful state. If
yes,
you're going to um, walk into complete chaos, we've got to do something about that.
yes,
And
yes.
it doesn't need to be like throw everything away.
Mm-hmm.
You don't need to do that, but maybe you don't need to see it all. Right.
Yes, yes,
So creating a sanctuary space, something that is going to not just support you, but celebrate you,
yes,
celebrate your best, highest expression.
yeah,
That's what matters.
yes.
Now it's, you know, every day of the year, 24/7, you have somewhere where you can go to
Yes.
immediately feel your best.
Oh, wow. Lisa, you and I can talk and talk forever. I just looked at the time and I'm going, oh, oh. So, also as a confirmation of how all of this works, my energy was not leveled when before we started. And all of a sudden, I literally felt a shift as we are continuing
Yay.
to we're just talking. And as you mentioned at the beginning, that this will be helpful not only for myself as a host, but also all the listeners. But I felt the energy shifting. I felt the relaxation coming through as we were talking. So I want to
Oh,
emphasize
fantastic.
to all the listeners to say, listen to this over and over again, even when you're not
Yes.
even hearing it, but just the concept of it, you're going to shift. It's going to shift your energy because that's what this is all about. So before we end, Lisa, tell us the services that you provide, and do you provide them also because it's working right through this mode. It works. So everybody is going to wonder and ask, so what does she do and how can I make an appointment? And does this work
Oh,
via Zoom or video? Let's talk about that before we end.
yes. And
Yes.
before we go, don't let me forget. I need to
Okay.
close the channel, turn
Okay.
off the Reiki, and send everyone on their way.
Okay.
But to work with me directly, I don't work with people
Okay.
individually very
Okay.
much anymore.
Okay.
It's really on a sort of application process.
Okay.
I have to feel very aligned with
Yes.
my clients.
Yes.
Um, so really reach out to me,
Yes.
Lisa@nagarelife.com, and we can start a conversation.
Awesome.
Now, for everyone though, for everyone, that's find your flow. So I started this podcast. I didn't start it. Let's be honest. I was told, I was called to provide and to gift. That's what I was told to do, which is
Yes.
why I don't work with individuals a whole lot anymore,
Yes.
because all of my focus is on fulfilling what is being asked of me right now, which is to gift and
Yes.
to share.
Yeah.
So listen to, follow, find your flow. It's my new podcast. It's on Spotify, Apple, what is that? Apple Podcasts and, anywhere, pretty much anywhere.
Yeah.
I don't
Amazon,
know.
Amazon.
iHeartRadio.
I mean, it's everywhere.
I don't know. But follow Find Your Flow. There are meditations, Reiki-infused meditations.
Yes.
I even give you the opportunity to comment and ask. There is an episode, if you go through and you listen, you can put in the comments and ask. I have this very specific challenge. Could you help me with it? And I will absolutely add that to the list of intentions. You can message me directly. That's fine too. If you sign up for my mailing list, which all of this is on the link tree, but if you sign up for the mailing list, I'm starting a new practice pretty soon to be a pen pal. Because I firmly, firmly, firmly believe that right now people need to be seen and heard.
Yes.
And so my correspondence is not going to be marketing. It's not going to be like spammy emails. It's going to be heartfelt. So the podcast has love letters from Lisa. Those are literally, I write a love letter to listeners and I read it to you. Yeah. And then the pen pal is going to be an expression of that in written form. Yeah, I think that's the best right now, but you can always get Reiki on the podcast. It's going to also start having some Feng Shui tips so that you too can move through your home very purposefully with intention to create a sanctuary, because I feel so deeply about that as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And with that, I will ask that you close this for us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes. Okay. Please close your eyes. This was such a beautiful healing session. Time spent together is time spent healing. So that is a message that's coming through loud and clear for everyone to take with them today. Time spent together is time spent healing. So it doesn't matter who you're with, when you're with them. You could be standing in line for a coffee. Whoever is within 10 feet of you shares in your energy, your grace, and your healing journey. Remember that, because at all times you're sharing, at all times you're receiving. If you start to feel anxious, simply say, that is not mine, and I do not wish to receive that. Feel into love, share love. And with that, I ask you to take a nice deep breath. The channel is now closed. Thank you for sharing your healing energy with me. May you be one step closer to peace, and may you take many, many more. There we go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll do this again. I know very soon we're going to be doing this again. Once again, I want to thank you for being my guest. And to all of you that have been listening, thank you for listening to the Bouncing Back podcast.
That's a wrap for today's episode of the Bouncing Back podcast with DrStem. We hope you found today's episode inspiring and packed with valuable insights. Remember, no matter the challenges you face, resilience is within your reach. If you enjoyed the show, please subscribe, leave a review, and share it with your friends. Join us next time for more stories of strength and perseverance. Until then, keep bouncing back.